Is Michigan about to flip the script on the recruiting trail? Welcome in because Michigan football is starting to heat up in a big way. From pushing to flip top talent, to chasing elite wide receivers, to battling for a five-star recruit, and things are starting to shape up to be a massive stretch for Michigan recruiting. Momentum is building, but can they close the deal? Let's get into it today here on Wolverines Daily. It might not be officially flip season just yet, but don't tell the Wolverines just that. The Wolverines are already making moves, and it starts with a big-time target who's currently committed elsewhere. And that's four-star linebacker Jaden Nelson out of Houston, is one of the top players in the 2027 draft class. While he's pledged to Texas Tech, Michigan is pushing extremely, extremely hard to change that. The coaching staff recently made an in-person visit to his high school, and the message was very clear. You are a top priority. And anytime a coaching staff travels to a recruit's house, that tells you something. Nelson even said that Michigan is ready to, I quote, crank up his recruiting, and now the next step is getting him on campus for the official visit. And that's where things really shift, because Nelson isn't just a name to watch. There's another four-star linebacker, Roman Ikabuke, out of Chicago, is also trending towards taking an official visit to Ann Arbor. And he's another name to watch out for. He's been on campus once. He's talked about the family-like feel around the program, and that's something that continues to stand out with this program. Michigan's going all in on building its defense, specifically at linebacker. And I've talked about it on this podcast. That linebacking core has a lot of question marks heading into the start of fall camp. A lot of questions throughout the spring, not enough depth in the mid-level to the back level of defense for Michigan. While those battles are still unfolding, the Wolverines just locked in a major win up front. Talked about it this week early. Four-star offensive lineman Jakari Lipsey, he officially committed over the weekend, giving Michigan one of the top offensive players in the trenches in the entire country. Lipsey talked about the family atmosphere that we're starting to see as a trend, and especially his connection with offensive line coach Jim Harding, who has already proved he can produce NFL talent. They're landing some key pieces, getting a lot of people on campus. They're pushing for flips, and they're positioning themselves for a huge summer run with official visits around the corner. So the bottom line is this. It may not be flip season yet, as I call it, but the Wolverines are definitely planting the seeds to flip some of the top recruits in the entire country. The Michigan football team as well is making another aggressive move on the recruiting trail. And right now, with the spring game over and done with, that's majority of discussions that you'll hear on this podcast until camp starts. Michigan has officially entered the hunt for four-star wide receiver Charles Alexander Jr., better known as Chuck, out of Cincinnati, Ohio. And here's the twist. He's already committed to Louisville, but that's not stopping the Wolverines. He's another big target, 6'3", 185 pounds. He's exactly what you'd look for in a modern perimeter receiver. Can tack you on the perimeter. He can be big on third down. He's long. He's athletic. He's a playmaker. And he's a big play threat every time he touches the ball. And he will stretch the field vertically for the offense. And that's why Michigan is pushing extremely hard. Even though he's committed, his recruitment is still very much active. He's been taking visits. He's been staying in contact with multiple programs. And now Michigan is officially in the mix alongside schools like Cincinnati, Kentucky, Wisconsin, and others. The bottom line here is this. Michigan continues to swing big. Yes, they've landed some commitments. They've missed on some. But as long as they continue to swing big, and if they connect on a player like Alexander, that's a major win for the future of this offense that is starting to pick up steam on the skilled positions. In the football, Michigan, we continue to make things very clear that we're trying to build this offense around explosiveness. Jason Beck has stepped into the offensive coordinator role and has shifted Michigan towards more spread concepts, 11 personnel, more wide receivers on the field. To make that work, you need playmakers. There's going to be different formations. You'll see no tight ends. You may see empty backfields. He's known for multiple formations. They've already attacked the transfer portal, bringing in names like J.J. Buchanan, Jamie French, Celeste Moa, who I think has huge upside. But now they're looking ahead, and they might be closing in on another big-time addition in that 2027 class. A name that's going to be familiar if you watch this podcast is four-star wide receiver Quentin Burrell is trending heavily toward Michigan. Multiple predictions are coming in right now that are favoring the Wolverines. He's a Chicago standout, and the more and more predictions that I'm seeing across social media is saying Burrell right now is leaning towards the Wolverines. And I think this one feels real. He's not just another target. He's a genuine connection here. His sister played soccer at Michigan, which gave him exposure to the program, allowed relationships to start building with the staffs over time, and that familiarity matters with recruitment like this. Another big target, 6'3", 200 pounds. Burrell brings exactly what Michigan continues to look for. He's a guy last year, 67 receptions, over 1,100 yards and 16 touchdowns. That's production. He's the kind of outside receiver, again, sound familiar? He can stretch the defenses vertically. He can play in the slot. He can play the X wide receiver. He can do a lot of different things for the Wolverines. And here's the big picture. Michigan doesn't currently have a wide receiver committed in this 2027 class. So landing Burrell would be a tone setter, and they're not just stopping there. Michigan is also in the mix for five-star wideout Dakota Garant, and if they compare those two together, you're potentially looking at one of the best wide receiver duos in the entire country down the line. There's competition. I don't want people to think that these names that I'm throwing out there are definitely locks to come to Michigan. They're not locks. It's momentum that is building, and we're getting them on campus, which is huge. With Burrell is scheduled to visit Ann Arbor on June 19th. That's Victor's weekend. Could be the moment that everything comes together and we start to see more commitments in that 2027 class. So the bottom line is this. Michigan's offense is evolving, and if they land Burrell, that's a major, major step towards Michigan's future playmakers in the skilled positions at the wideouts for Michigan. Spring ball's over. Hard to believe that spring football feels like it just started yesterday. We've moved relatively quickly, and the real grind is just starting with the recruiting trail. On one name on the top of that board, a huge, huge get for Michigan if we can land him, is five-star cornerback Joshua Dobson out of the state of North Carolina. We're talking about an elite prospect, number 11 overall in the country, a top 3 corner nationally, and the number 1 player in the state in his state. 6'1", 185 pounds. He has the size, he has the speed, and he has the instincts to be a day one impact at the next level. And Michigan is right in the middle of the fight. He's trimmed his list of 5 schools: Michigan, South Carolina, Auburn, and Texas A&M. And sneak in, yes, Lane Kiffin and LSU. That's heavyweight company, and right now, Texas A&M is viewed as the slight favorite. But don't count out Michigan. New head coach Kyle Whittingham, defensive back coach Gennaro Guilford has made Dobson a top priority. They've already been down to see him, and more importantly, they got him on campus this spring, which is huge, huge for Michigan. So the Wolverines don't currently have a cornerback committed in the class. They're set to lose multiple key pieces in the secondary after this upcoming season. Add in the recent loss of defensive back commit, and the urgency just went up. So Dobson, I don't think he's just a fit. I think he should be a top priority, and I think this class is starting to pick up some steam. And I think right now, if we can get Dobson back on campus and continue building that relationship, this one could turn into one of the biggest recruiting wins of the cycle. So that's going to do it for today's edition of Wolverines Daily. We are 121 days away from kickoff, and every day we're getting one step closer. More recruiting, more breakdown, more Michigan football every single day. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I'm Coach Little C, and remember, stay locked in and go blue.